He got 5 fucking yards on a 9-man front. What game are we playing? Checkers? Chess? Putt-putt golf? We're playing fucking football. It's real fucking simple. And it's effort. It's effort. If he catches the ball right there, you, me, and everybody in the room is fucking fired. Fired.
What's going on? It's been a while, you know what I'm saying? I mean, me and my boy, Code G-Dub, man, we got other things to do. But, a lot of stuff is going on right now. I call my guy up, my mentor, my whatever, you can call it whatever, the OG, G-Dub. And we're like, man, we got to chop it up. And we got to talk about what's going on in the league. Coach, what's going on?
Hey, I appreciate you calling me. Hey, this is good. And it's always good to get out there and let the fans know.
Definitely. Now, I mean, Coach, a lot of coaches are getting cut. A lot of people are resigning, and coaches are retiring. I mean, where should we begin? I mean, obviously Bill Belichick, he did his time with New England, and he got a lot of Super Bowl wins. But obviously ever since Brady, left, I mean, it's been a slump. And, people are saying, hey, man, like, it was all Brady or it was all Bill, or some people are saying, hey, vice versa. What's your input on that?
Well, I will tell you this, is that if Bill Belichick didn't have anything to do with it, how come Tom Brady didn't have a phenomenal high school and college career and come out higher than 199th pick? And he developed him. I'm very close to him. He's earned my respect. He's, going to go down in the Hall of Fame as the greatest ever, and he will pass Don Shula in the number of wins. So he'll lock on here. And if all these different teams that are open, they're ignorant if they don't go out and get him, at least interview him and try to get him in the house, to build and train young coaches, build and train players, build and train the scouting department, all that type of stuff. Bill has a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience and a wealth of success to be able to hand it down when he decides to stop coaching.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, the way his mentality is, he doesn't talk as much, but he always has something going on and something planned. But
and what I'm wondering, I thought it was great the little piece that Tom Brady put out. Tom and I are very close too. And the little piece that he put out, last night about what Bill Belichick meant to him. It meant a ton to him. And I thought that was fantastic that Tom did that.
Definitely. I mean, and I'm sure he's planning now what's his next move, man. I mean, people will put that pinpoint or, on the map, hey, he's going here, he's going there. What do you think, his landing spot could possibly be? If he's going to coach, or if he might just not even coach at all anymore?
No, he's going to coach. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt in my mind. I've talked to different people behind the scenes there and everything. He's not done coaching. He's said that basically in the minimal amount of things that he has said, his body language and a few things that he has said. And I'm sure that he's already got, potential staff ready to go. So he'll be able to land and not have a lot of extra coaching that he has to do to get his coaches in line and ready to go. And again, I mentioned this today to my son, that it'll be interesting to see, who Jerod Mayo and Robert Kraft retain off of his staff and will not let them go with Bill. That'll be an interesting factor too, but I know he's got plans. He always has plans, and he'll land 100 miles an hour wherever he goes.
For sure. And Mayo, man, I mean, obviously announced today as a new head coach, obviously being in the facility for a while, for a long time, knowing the players. How do you think he's going to do with his new role?
I've heard great things about him. I've respected him a lot as a player, but be careful what you wish for when you get the opportunity now to make the decisions that you've always wanted to do, but you don't have the experience to do. So there'll be some, rocky times and that kind of stuff. He's got great learning background from being with Bill and all those type of things, but the first time that you get an opportunity to do that, you need to be able to check your ego, okay, and understand that these decisions are what's best for everyone, not just best for one. And that is always a trying experience with your first opportunity to be a head coach at the top of the world in football in the National Football League.
I agree. Totally agree on that. And obviously, Coach, I mean, dude, I mean, your resume speaks for itself. I'm sure you're getting some calls right now, man.
Yeah.
What I mean, maybe people are just gonna hear it from this podcast, man. What's give them a little taste. I mean, I already know the taste, but give them a little taste of what could be possibly next for Coach G-Dub. And I know the DC Defenders, you guys are in routine right now, making the schedule for the upcoming season. What's your next move, man, or where you're looking at?
The people ask me all the time is, Coach, hey, G-Dub, where's the happiest place for you in life? You know, we see how intense you are and how hard you work and everything, but what makes you happy? And the two most important places in my life that make me the happiest is, one, being around my family. And I've had the opportunity the last couple of years, because my contract was being paid, to be around my family for the first time in 40 plus years. And two, I can't wait, you know, for the next opportunity to get back in the National Football League and be around the right kind of people, the people you have a chance to lead and go. And, you know, it's been important to me that all the different staff members that I've had that have worked with me, not for me, but work with me, you know, I've got over 100 out there, you know, coaching in college and high school and the NFL and the UFL now, all those different places, because they found, okay, that they like coaching with the ways that I've kind of led them around to do those things. Getting a lot of calls, yeah. And the big thing is that, you know, we'll get back into it. But I also enjoy helping this DC Defender team. I enjoy that level of football because those young men, they want the opportunity to reprove themselves. You know, they are looking for every way they can to get that next shot, okay, to get up into the National Football League. And they're a very big joy to coach, to be around and to teach and to lead. I can't wait up. We'll see what the opportunities are out there. We'll measure them all. And I'll be inside the white line someplace coaching.
For sure, for sure. Hey, man, you know, Coach, you know, I always wish the best for you, and you already know what you're going on. You already know what's really good. So,
Hey, what happens if I'm back there with the Commanders?
speaking, Coach, about the Commanders, right? We're gonna leave it at that. Remember, we're only giving them a taste. We're only giving them a taste. Speaking of the Commanders, let me put something up here, and we'll talk about this topic.
Direction. And I think, as you probably heard, I'm going to be leading that search, both for a head of football operations as well as a head coach. And I'm going to be assisted by my partners, Irvin Magic Johnson, Mitch Rails, and David Blitzer, as well as a couple very well-known sports executives, Bob Myers, who I've known for many years and have a tremendous amount of respect for, and Rick Spielman, who obviously is a 30-year football executive of the year, obviously 10 years with the Vikings.
G-Dub.
What do you think? What do you want me to say? You want me to be honest?
Okay, I want you to be honest,
Okay.
but I also want you to. Rivera gets fired. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I called you up in the summertime before the season start. You said Dan Snyder is not the problem. He's not the problem, and a lot of fans are saying, okay, because of him, what's going on is the reason, right? I mean, Coach, this season was horrendous. It was horrible. I mean, you know what? I'll let you elaborate on that. But Rivera gets fired. Don't know who the new coach is going to be. I might pinpoint something. I might give you an idea who I think could be the next coach, and I'm sure you have one too. But tell me what went wrong this year.
Well, I
for
will
the
tell you
Commanders.
this: it's been a tough situation there, and I think Ron and that staff worked their tail off. There's several people on that staff I've worked with and coached with before. I've been on staffs with them, but a lot of the dysfunction out there, the distractions out there that would maybe mask some of the things that people should be thinking about. And that's when you're inside the white lines. Those players have to be able to block out everything. Obviously, get better players and get some better, competitions at the positions that are needed to be in the National Football League. I will tell you there about the owner being on there right now. I thought that was a very good way for a brand new owner, especially, to be able to surround himself that people that he had built some respect with, that obviously know the business, know what it is to be in the National Football League, and to be able to have some guiding advice. The brand new general manager that was just hired today, I think was an excellent hire. And I've scouted all those types of positions. I started back in the early 90s on scouting different positions within organizations, being coaches and GMs and scouts and secretaries and equipment managers, everything, to make sure the most important thing that you need to do when you're at the top is hire good people to surround yourself with that you don't have to babysit. If you have to babysit at the highest level in the world, the National Football League in football, and you got to babysit somebody to do their job, why'd you hire them? For what reason? You don't have time to do that. You need to get out and market more. You need to go out and raise more money. If you could coach, you'd be doing this too as the owner and the coach. Okay, you'd be able to be you'd be the owner and the general manager. Don't tell Jerry Jones I said that, and I laugh all the time because he's a close friend of mine too, and he offered me the head coaching job many, many, many years ago, and I turned it down. I think this is a good start. I think Adam Peters is a really good hire. And now you got to make sure you're going to continue to do the things in the front office area, as a GM has to do. But now this next hire as a coach is going to be important on how you now bring in people you don't have to babysit. They can do their job.
For sure. I definitely agree on that. Second overall.
Yep.
Is this going to be a repeat of the last, 20 years of some bozo pick, or is it going to be the real deal this time, Coach? Come on. What's really going to happen? Is it going to be some – what do you think of the second overall? What do you think they're aiming at?
You love this. As I shake my head, it brings a smile to my face when you're saying those kind of things, because I've been places with the first pick, second pick, fifth pick, the 32nd pick. I've been places where all that. And that, it's important to make sure that the person who's making the final decision of that, be it the head coach, general manager, working together with everybody together, that we're doing things in a very conscious, right way, is that we're getting a young man that can go have a fist fight in a phone booth inside the white lines and be able to do his job too, what I just talked about. Okay. Now, who will that second pick be? Will it stay the second pick? Will they trade down? What will they do? How are they going to collect more picks? Because there's more than be upgraded or all that type of stuff. If you have an offensive oriented head coach, you got to understand, are we satisfied with where the quarterback is? The number one position in the National Football League that you have to be able to compete in the playoffs is a quarterback. And you got to make sure. And if that's not correct, okay, then boom, okay, you're going to struggle. Or go get you an offensive lineman, or go get you a defensive player and all that kind of stuff. If it's a defensive head coach that you're going to have, you make sure you surround yourself with somebody on the offensive side of the ball that you trust their knowledge, you trust their intel, you trust that they understand that we need another quarterback, or we need an offensive line, or we need that, so that we can formulate all this together. I think there's some great candidates out there on both sides of the ball. I think, and again, a lot of people, right, wrong, or different on how he handled the distractions there. But I don't think people understand how good a coach Eric Bieniemy is. And I've tracked him for a long, long time. at all levels of football. Okay. And if he's the guy, which I know they're considering, then he has to surround himself with somebody like me on defense that he doesn't have to babysit, with a similar personality that understands how to do what we're doing. And we don't take a bunch of excuses telling us that I don't see it that way. This is how we're going to do it. I think that those two coordinators in Baltimore, not too far away, Todd Monken and Mike McDonald, they're outstanding. And then, I think the Ben Johnson, the guy who's done a great job for Dan Campbell up at Detroit. I think there's a lot of factors out there. Now, above all and else, do you have enough cojones to say, hey, Bill Belichick, come in? But we're going to, have you be the head coach only, and we're going to use Adam as a GM. Does Bill want to do that? I don't know. I don't know if he does. And I don't know if there's interest in the Commanders to him. But there's a lot of good choices out there. And the people that are making those choices, and they've got to let coaches go or let GMs go or all that kind of stuff, right, wrong, or indifferent, especially in short amounts of time, 1, 2, 3 years, all that kind of stuff. When are you going to step up and take ownerships that you made an up decision? You're the person who hired them, and you don't have a feel for what they need to do, and you don't understand what they need to do. When are you going to take ownership and make sure you are listening to people who know this person can do his job? So there's lots of things going on. We got 8 openings. Now it's down to 7 since they hired Jerod Mayo to replace Bill up in New England. It's down to 7 coaches. But listen to this now. You better watch the playoff games this weekend, because I think there can be 2 more, maybe 3 more that will happen after this weekend. I really believe that. So it's not done yet.
And Coach, I mean, you got it on point. And with the playoff games, I'm going to bring it up in a few, and people will have a taste of who and which coaches you're talking about. And obviously, I definitely agree. But during this past season, there was a bunch of malarkey. I mean, Montez Sweat being the only guy going to the Pro Bowl. Why? He's a Pro Bowl player, right? And we give him away, and then second high pick. Okay, fine. Just 2 hours later, they give Chase Young for a bag of chips. They lost 2 bookends.
Now you're asking my opinion. If you would have been able to tape record me in the theater room when I was watching it on TV in the home I'm in right now, you would not have wanted to record what I'm saying. Like, what the heck is going on? Well, I mean, I just shake my head on that. Now, you know what? And here's another thing. Not only did I shake my head on that, I also thought fantastic, because both those guys went to different places in short amounts of times and played their tails off and played very well. So for an understanding that, hey, those were our guys, those were our boys. And I know there's all kinds of cap restraints and all that kind of stuff that goes on here too. But again, you've got to hire people that understand those things. And again, I was in the league when we went to the salary cap and we went to free agency, and none of that stuff was going on when I first started the league. There wasn't a cap and there wasn't free agency and all that kind of stuff. So you've had to learn to adapt, to be able to handle it year by year by year. And I think it's going to be interesting, again, that they hire the right person to be able to coach this team, because I do believe in my mind, and I've been watching this for a while, that I think Adam Peters is going to be a very good hire for them.
Definitely. Adam Peters, I mean, he has a great resume, but I mean, hopefully that malarkey doesn't come up again. I mean, come on now. I mean, Chase Young, okay, look, he wasn't putting up the numbers or whatever, but at least get something out of him, right? Like get a decent pick or something. I mean, for a bag of chips, and not like you were saying, Coach, they're going out and putting up numbers. Montez going to the Pro Bowl, Chase going to the playoffs. I mean, Coach, I think just us, a general, back to the Commanders. I mean, you know the system, and you also know the black magic we got. All the players who leave, Carlos Rogers, Brashard Breeland, right? Carlos
Antonio Pierce.
There you go.
Antonio, I'm so proud of him, what he's done. But I was the stupid guy, the stupid coach that gave him an opportunity to play when nobody before me would give him a chance to play. And I did all the work on him before I ever got there. But when he was coming out of high school and college, is that I'm so proud of him. And guess what? Mark Davis and the Raiders better check their ego at the door, because they let him get out of there. There's going to be another tornado in the locker room, because those players, all players, long ways off. Okay. And the players knew and wanted to earn the respect of Antonio Pierce at, the Raiders. That's the kind of coach you got to have there, that the players are doing everything they can to earn the respect and trust of the person in charge. And you likewise, when you're in charge, every single day is an interview. You got to interview them. They're going to interview you too. And they can decide whether you know what's going on. So That's what I'm talking about. The powers that be, make sure, you can do your job at that level and surround yourself with people that can do their job.
I'm telling you. And obviously all these couple of years, it looks like people, it's like, when you're constipated and you just need to let it out. And I feel like when you're constipated, I feel like they're just coming to the Commander's facility, letting it out. And once they know they're a little faster, they go ahead and, get their numbers down and reach all, make all these Pro Bowls and stuff. I mean, look at this. I got this in front of me. 2013 Washington staff. Shall we? Okay.
Yeah, let me hear it.
LaFleur in the building as a QB coach.
Yeah.
Sean McVay.
Yeah.
Okay, in the building. Kyle Shanahan in the building. Mike McDaniel in the building.
Yep.
Slowick in the building. I mean, come on, coach.
And, down at the Senior Bowl, when they were all young coaches there, they all those guys asked to eat lunch with me down at the Senior Bowl to pick my mind and all this type of stuff. And it made me feel great that I could tell whether they were listening to me or not, and I could tell their eye contact that these young men, had a desire to be the best they could be every single second of every single day. And I'm very proud of all those guys you just named right now. And yes, they were in the building.
Definitely. And coach, I mean, look, we're not going to talk much Commanders because, we got to go back home. You're already home. I'm home, but we got to go home back on the dinner table with our wife. You know what I'm saying? And we cannot be stressed out, so let's talk a little bit less about the Commanders. We're going to end it at this. The O-line, horrible. Sam Howell reminded me of Jason Campbell the past season. Okay. If, like you're saying, they hire the right people, they'll make the right decisions. Upcoming draft. They get some OTs in there, make it seem what it needs to be, and it could be good. Now, if they don't pick one single OT, which I think 99.9%, you can agree on this, that's not going to happen. It might just be the same movie all over again, right? And I think the second pick might just be Gregg Williams, just because of that DC connection. All right, you heard it over here. You heard it first at FFL. But once again, I don't know. It will be amazing. I mean, I don't know, Coach. I don't know what you think. But
have you seen what's out there today about Caleb? His agent, his family has reached out, and they're reaching out to the Bears to find out if he's going to be the pick with the number one. And if they find out that, yes, they're going to pick him, he's not going to come into the draft this year. He's going to stay in college.
That's it, because he doesn't want to go in the facility. I did see that. And that could be possibly true. But, I hope he doesn't do that.
Here's something I want to talk to you about real quick here, too, is that, and as I've watched Sam play this year, and I watched struggling offensive line and all that kind of stuff. I was a quarterback a long time ago at a lower level, all that kind of stuff, and I've been an offensive coordinator. When I took over at the Cleveland Browns to be the head coach for Hugh Jackson and that type of stuff, people don't understand. I ran the offense too and controlled that through the offensive line coach and the quarterback coach who I'd worked with before and all this kind of stuff. At the midpoint of the season, Baker Mayfield, who I love, and I'm so proud of him getting Tampa Bay to the playoffs, okay? And I love him. At the midpoint of the season, we were dead last in the league with 38 sacks allowed and 41 hits on the quarterback, all right? So I take Hugh's playbook that had 26 pass protections, and I shit canned and threw out 20 of them down to 6 pass protections. The next day, when they came in and all that kind of stuff, and I'm over on the defense installing, doing all and I'm out before the offense gets done, and he's in the quarterback room right outside my office there at Cleveland Browns, and I hear Baker come out in the hallway, and he's screaming and yelling about how ignorant this is on changing this, changing that. I came out of my office, walked over to him, snatched him right by the collar, pulled him up right here, and I said, "Can I help you?" Baker looked at me, big eyes, and he goes, How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? How are we going to protect this? How are we going to do this? How are we going to throw this concept? And I say, you want to know how we do it? Get rid of the ball. You're holding the ball too much. You block the unblocked, okay, rushers. If you hold the ball past 2.3 seconds, every time in a ball game you're going to do that, I'm going to meet you the first day after the game, and you're going to run that many 40-yard dashes for me until I get it in your head, because I was a quarterback playing with a poor offensive line, that I had to get it out of my hand in a time. Now, if you can't, do you have enough mobility to scramble out of some of those situations? Right now, at this level, the pass rushers are so dominant, you better have special Lamar Jackson skills to be able to extend plays out of the pocket. But any stupid quarterback can get it out of his hands, and I don't see that being coached enough. And that is offensive coordinator's fault, quarterback coach's fault, and I will be right there in their room to help them get this done.
I definitely agree.
And then in the next 8 games, hold on, in the next 8 games that I did this with Baker, we had already given up 38 sacks. We gave up 2 sacks and 7 hits on the quarterback in the next 8 weeks. Well, I mean, it can't be that simple. It can't be that simple, but you have to be disciplined. I say what I mean what I say. Our own children know which parent to run to hear 20 excuses from, and which parent to run to that don't want to hear about your excuses. Do what you're told to do. And it's amazing, and it's that way in coaching too.
I totally agree. You got to let go of the ball, Coach. I mean, a shout out to my uncle, Amjad Rocky. He always be yelling at the damn TV, let go of the ball. I mean, It's simple, discipline. I mean, I totally agree on that.
Watch the next show that you have with a stopwatch in your hand and click it how many times that you'll see people hold it past 2.3. And then I want you to click it and see if the pass rusher can actually get there to make a hit on the quarterback in 2.3 or less. I just want you to be unblocked. Okay. I want you to see that and practice those timing mechanisms.
For sure. Definitely. I mean, it's simple, and nowadays some of these coaches coming out, man, they're just trying to put some food on the table, and they're forgetting these small concepts, the discipline to get them in the next level. I mean,
I agree with that too. And of all the trick plays that I see, which I call slow down plays, they're trying to slow down the defense and all that kind of stuff by creating eye infractions and all that kind of stuff. But trick plays are what offensive coordinators use to inflate their ego. Whenever you have to run a trick play, it's because you have no idea how important fundamentals and technique is to run normal plays. Okay. The ball's won and lost on the line of scrimmage. Get it going. Okay. On the line of scrimmage, get the receiver's technique right, all this kind of stuff. And then the trick plays, it's amazing how little you need.
Exactly. Coach, before our blood pressure, goes over the roof, let's dial into the playoff games tomorrow. Let's put our picks in. We'll come back next week and see, who picked what and how we picked. Let's put our predictions in. All right, Coach, we got to get our picks in. We're looking at Browns and the Texans. What do you think?
And again, because I love the Browns, I love Joe Flacco, and I did some advising behind the scenes about, those guys getting a workout for Joe and everything, and he's done a fantastic job for them. But I'm picking the Browns, and I think DeMarco Ryan's done a fantastic job on what he's turned around the Texans, and C.J. Stroud has done a fantastic job, okay, of taking the next step in the NFL. But I think the Browns defense travels very well. I think they're going to be good in there. Jim Schwartz, one of my former assistants, has done a fantastic job on that. The number one thing will be Flacco taking care of the ball and decreasing the turnovers that have been happening with the Browns offense.
I definitely think the same thing. I think Flacco coming in, listen, Super Bowl MVP, boys coming in hot right now. Texans, I don't think they're going to have that much to match. And I think Brown's going to win that as well. Dolphins at Chiefs. What you thinking?
Well, it's going to be funny, and I said this in my own show earlier in the week, is that we'll see. And I love Tyreek Hill. He's going home. Okay, so going home there and for the Chiefs and all that stuff. But I hope he can keep his legs and his hamstrings warm, because for sure it's going to get down in the minus 20 degrees wind chill, maybe down to the minus 30-degree wind chill. I'm giving the advantage to the Chiefs. They've done this thing before. Miami has not played very well against winning teams in the National Football League. And I think it's a great script. I'm going to go back one more thing and another big script about Cleveland going down to the Texans is, there's a lot of stuff going on, because here it is, with Deshaun Watson, that trade and everything going back, and Cleveland had to give up all that stuff. And C.J. Stroud was one of those picks and everything they were able to get out of that. So that's a big script, good script for the NFL on TV rights. And the same thing here with Tyreek Hill going back home.
Definitely. I think personally the Chiefs don't have a good D. They're kind of just slumpy here and there. Patrick Mahomes not really connecting that much well. I mean, last couple of games he was but I think Dolphins going to take this one.
Well, that's good. So that's good, because I picked the Chiefs, you picked the Dolphins, and it'll come down to Spagnola's defense, and we'll see.
We shall see next week, Coach. Steelers at the Bills.
Well, right now it's going to be a snowstorm up there, and I have a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin. It's going to be a fist fight in a phone booth, especially if it's snowing during the game. But they're already hiring all kinds of people to come in, $20 an hour, to start shoveling out the stadium. And they're starting that, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock tomorrow night on Saturday night, just to get it shoveled out so they can play the 1 o'clock game.
Yeah, I definitely need to see more of Rudolph. I got to see what he really does. But I think Bill's going to take it. I mean, they're playing at their home field. Bill's number one team playing the snow. I think that's what's going to happen there.
Yep.
Packers at Cowboys.
Well, Dallas is playing at home, and they've had a tremendous run of, I know, 8-0 this year at home. They play very well there. I know the Cowboy fans will be rocking and rolling. I think the Packers have done a very good job to get where they needed to get. I've really thought that Jordan Love, improved incrementally throughout the year. But the Packers defense hasn't been real strong all year long. And I think Dak Prescott goes off, and I think the Cowboys win.
Definitely. I think the Cowboys will take it. Love's playing pretty good, but I don't think they're going to have it much. Bland's doing amazing, crazy cornerback season. Guy like that coming out that late in the draft, crazy.
Yep.
Rams and the Lions.
The Rams is the only road team that I've picked, because I think that their talent level is a little bit better. I think Stafford, is rested, and I think he'll have, good threats there with Puka and Coop and all that kind of stuff. But I picked the Rams. But I love Dan Campbell. I had a chance to coach him a long time ago, and I think he's done a fantastic job getting them into and winning a division for the first time in 30 years. But I picked the Rams. I think they're a little bit better, especially versus Detroit's defense.
Puka coming out, doing crazy stuff. Cooper Kupp, obviously healthy. I think the same. I think Rams going to take the Lions. Lions looking nice. St. Brown's legit. But I just think, Rams have an edge on that as well.
Yep.
Last but not least, Eagles at the Buccaneers.
Well, One of my favorite players of all time that I had the opportunity to coach is Baker Mayfield. I've taken the Bucs in this because Philadelphia has been struggling. And we'll see, can they get it turned around? I know that Hurts has that messed up finger on his throwing hand and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's interesting to see, can he grip it and rip it, and can we do all that type of stuff? But Philly's been struggling lately. And listen to me, Tampa Bay, they win that game. You better keep your head and eyes on what's going on at Philadelphia, because I know Howie Roseman run and Bill Belichick have a very good relationship.
Definitely. No, I mean, I know Baker's gonna give you a text before the game, and I think, you know what, man, I'm with you, Coach.
Yeah.
Eagles just, I mean, from seeing that last game, even though people are gonna cry and say, oh, okay, starters weren't playing this and that, man, Baker has been playing, and I think you grabbing him by the collar. He probably get flashbacks, and he's been letting it sling and letting it go early this year. So
And the other thing too, I have a lot of respect for Todd Bowles, and I think Todd is going to come after. I think you're going to see quite a bit of pressures coming out of them, to see if Jalen can run again, and also how his hands working.
Definitely, I definitely agree. I think Bucks going to take that dub too. So the only differences we have this week will be Chiefs and the Dolphins. So we shall see next week, Coach. Before we end this, we have to, we like to get our feathers ruffled a little bit. We got to get angry a little bit, right? So let's take a little flashback 3 years ago. Your reaction to it. No one have seen it. This will be the first time on FFL live and direct. Here we go. And obviously we both have some scuffles with this guy. I told my mentors I'm gonna be a good boy, but I mean, we might need to let some stuff out. So here we go.
All right.
And playing for the Carolina Panthers and playing against New Orleans Saints, and not a Sean Payton deal, but that's a Gregg Williams deal. That's what he's always known for. That's what he wants his players on defense to be. I know probably some people saying, how can you say that? I played against Gregg Williams a number of times. That is his defense. His defense is about that BS, and that's how he coaches them. That's how he influences them, and that's what Gregg Williams does. And if Gregg Williams was standing right here, I would say it as well, because I've talked to him about it. I've addressed it, and that's the kind of BS that his defense plays, and he is the captain of that stuff that he does. Just straight up. That's who he is. But when the fact of the matter is, when you play against a Gregg Williams defense, and Gregg Williams is the defensive coordinator, it all goes out of the window. Gregg Williams is a guy who has had bounties on guys and made sure hit them when he goes out of bounds. I played against a Gregg Williams defense. I've known that players have told me, because we've had confrontations, was like, hey, Steve, if I don't hit you when you're close to the sideline, if I don't finish you to the ground, then I'll get fined. So that stuff does go on. And I'm not talking about the stuff that was Sean Payton. I'm not talking about that, and I don't want to get into that. What I'm talking about is straight Gregg Williams. Wherever he goes, the nonsense follows. That's how he runs his defense, and that's how he does it, straight up. I'm not saying you have to believe me. I'm saying I'm willing to put myself out there and call a spade a spade. And that's what Gregg Williams has always done. That's who he is, and that's what he preaches. And until something else changes, I see it for what it is. If it smells like a pig, it looks like a pig, and it's oinking, then guess what, my friend? It's a pig.
Coach, Coach, come on, man. You gotta let it out, brother. You gotta let it out, Coach.
And we had a face-to-face with that, and the game has changed. I totally get that with all the different type of stuff. But when I was brought up in early in life and all the way up early in the NFL and all the different places we be, okay, nothing is about physically doing something illegal, but it's about playing with contact. This isn't flag football. It's about getting after it, okay, and playing with great effort and great toughness. We have now had changes in our target zones on all that type of stuff. But when it becomes flag football, I don't want to coach it anymore, okay? This is what it is, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then I will tell you this, Steve's a tough son of a gun, and he's one of the few wide receivers I've coached against that I would give a shot to come over and play some defense and play a defensive back, okay? Because he is a physical, hard-nosed guy. But also with all that drama right there is that nothing, okay, could draw a penalty. You don't do anything defensively to draw a penalty. It's not about that. You never hurt the team. And a penalty hurts the team. And we don't look for penalties. We look for legal contact and getting after them that way. And people can't understand that, then they don't want to come to a ball game anymore. And all of a sudden you see a lot of the complaining out there about people that the game is turned soft. I do not think it's turned soft. I think it's still there. But we have to do a good job on making sure the contact is good in the target zone and limit the head trauma. We need to do that. In the old days, that wasn't a part of what we did. Now it is, and we got to make sure we're doing it that way.
Perfectly said. The little scuffle that, obviously, Steve, if he gets on your bad side, then, it's just bad, I had texted him in the summertime to go on my podcast. He's like, man, listen, I got to do this. I got to do that. He wrote like a 2-paragraph essay saying that what he does in his daily life, what he does at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And then at the end of the day, he's like, man, I just can't. I can't. I was like, my guy, it was a yes or no question, right?
And then you along with everybody else, you can smell that kind of stuff going on, and boom, you take your task and go elsewhere. And and he and I have a good relationship now, but we did have our face-to-face, and that's how it is, and that's my opinion.
Coach, we had a great talk. Today. We're going to come back with all you guys next week and have another session and see how our picks were going. And remember, my guy, Coach G-Dub, also has his own podcast channel. Come Get Some with Gregg Williams and his son, Blake Williams, on YouTube. So I'll link that in the description. Everyone out there, have a great week. See you guys next week. G-Dub, any last comments?
I appreciate it. And, and I broke every meeting for 40 years with Come Get Some. So here we go. Ready, break? Come get some.
That's it. Take care, everyone. See you next week.
See you.